You know how it is when you get back from a break. It feels like tests just sneak up on you out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, you're super stressed. Well, in this explainer, we're going to tackle that exact problem. We're going to look at a method called the test prep ramp, and it's all about how you can start studying earlier without actually having to do more work. Okay, let's dive in. Go ahead and open up your workbook for lesson 10.3. We're going to start with something I think we've all done at some point, cramming. You know, that frantic late-night scramble to stuff an entire semester's worth of information into your brain right before a big test. So, why do we do it? It's kind of funny, isn't it? Cramming feels really productive while you're doing it. You're just flooding your brain with so much information, and it gives you this illusion that you're making a ton of progress.
But that feeling is, well, it's a bit of a trick. It often falls apart completely on test day. And that's because real memory, the kind you can actually access when you're under pressure, that needs time and repetition to build. It's not something you can just create overnight. On your page, you'll see a section to answer this. Go ahead and pause the video and fill that in.
So if cramming is the problem, what's the solution? Well, instead of that frantic last-minute spike of effort, we're going to explore a much calmer, steadier, and way more effective method. We call it the test prep ramp. So what is a test prep ramp exactly? Think of it like building an actual ramp instead of trying to jump over a giant wall. It's just a series of short, totally manageable study sessions that you spread out over a few days. This lets your memory build up steadily and get really strong. At the top, your workbook asks you to define this in your own words. Go ahead and pause and write down your definition now. Okay, so let's get into the mechanics of the ramp. We're going to break it down into its main parts so you can see just how simple, and yet how powerful, this whole approach is. The ramp has 4 simple steps. First, you preview the material just to get a feel for it. Next, and this is the most important part, you retrieve the information from your memory. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Then, you apply what you've learned with some practice. And finally, you fill in the gaps with a quick light review. Now go to the ramp steps section in your workbook. Pause the video and fill in these 4 steps. Now, the most critical piece of this entire process is step 2, retrieve. This is completely different from what most of us usually do, which is just reviewing. See, reviewing is passive. You're just looking at your notes. Retrieving, on the other hand, is active. You are literally pulling information out of your brain without looking. This is exactly why things like flashcards or trying to explain a concept out loud from memory are so incredibly effective. So, what's the big deal? Why is actively retrieving information so much more powerful for your memory than just passively rereading it?
Well, it's because a test is all about your ability to recall information when you need it. Retrieval practice is like doing reps for your brain. Every single time you pull a memory out, you make the pathway to it stronger, which makes it faster and easier to find on test day. This is a great time to fill things in. On your page, answer the 2 questions about retrieval versus review. Just pause the video and write your answers.
And this whole idea perfectly illustrates one of our big themes, steady beats spiky. Cramming is totally a spiky activity. It's this huge burst of panicked effort, and it's usually followed by a crash. The ramp, though, is steady. It's a calm, consistent effort that actually prevents that panic in the first place. This also connects to another really powerful idea. Go slow to go fast. By taking these small, deliberate steps early on, you're building a super solid foundation that lets you perform with speed and confidence when it really matters. Your workbook has a question about this. Just take a moment to pause and write down your thoughts. All right, enough theory. Now it's time to actually put this into practice. We're going to move from just understanding the ramp to actually building one for a real test that you have coming up. So planning your first ramp is really simple. First, just pick one upcoming test or quiz. Next, schedule 4 little sessions leading up to it. And we're talking short, like 10 to 25 minutes. That's it. And finally, choose your retrieval tool. Are you going to use flashcards? Or maybe tackle some practice questions? You could even try explaining the concepts to a friend. Okay, let's make a plan. Go to the Apply It section in your workbook. Go ahead and pause the video and complete it for a real test you've got on the calendar. All right, now that you have a plan, let's do a quick check-in. The last part of your workbook page is all about reflecting on your current habits and thinking about what you want them to be. So, in this final section, take a look at the systems check and just reflect on your study habits right now. Then, think about that final question. What is one small thing you could do to start just a little bit earlier next time?
Take a moment to pause and finish up this last part of the page.
Let's bring all this together with the single most important idea from this whole lesson.
Here's the key takeaway. Starting earlier doesn't mean doing more work. It just means spreading your sessions out so your brain has the time it needs to build strong, long-lasting recall. You just built a simple ramp today that you can use again and again for any test in any class.
Great work today. Now finish up the Lesson 10.3 page in your workbook. In our next explainer, Lesson 10.4, we're going to tackle another huge challenge, distractions. We'll learn how to build distraction armor for your phone. I'll see you there.